Hello again, this is Calvin from PoorManSurvival.com. Today we're going to talk about the Coghlan's adhesive signal light. Everybody probably seen the Coghlan stuff. They carry it at all the major retailers, everything from Walmart to, every bulk store is carrying this type of stuff in their camping department. This was brought to my attention by a friend of mine who's big into airsoft. They make these in green and red, and I believe a clear, but I know definitely a green and red. And it is basically just a small adhesive light. Let's get right down to it, and we're going to pull it out here. So, if you can see that, that isn't a whole lot bigger than a dog tag. So it's really small. It has a reflective surface on the front, and it has a fairly sticky 3M type adhesive surface on the back. So it says on the back here, this is an all-purpose light. It says can be seen up to half mile, run time of 80+ hours, 3 modes, fast strobe, slow strobe, and constant. And you have your stickiness on the back. So, having said that, where would you use something like this? It shows it on a kayak here. It shows, to me, night hiking, something like this would be fantastic. They say daytime emergency signaling. I don't think so. It's fairly bright, but it's not that bright. The reflective surface on the front is not all that reflective. But I gotta say, at night, the LED in this is pretty bright. So I'm gonna click this on. We're gonna have you take a look, and it is, so it's just a center LED strobe. So in the daytime, it's not all that impressive. But at night, when there is no other light, what I would like this for is if you're hiking with several other individuals and you are stretched out over a trail, you want to be able to see the leader, maybe stick this right in the back of a pack. Like I said, it is fairly small, and you can stick that right to a pack frame. The batteries aren't replaceable in these. I believe these cost, in the $2 to $3 range. If you start trying to buy, mil-spec survival lights or helmet lights that do a very similar thing, you're going to spend lots of money. So to buy a pocket full of these for, a couple of bucks, $10 or whatever for 3 or 4 of these, it's not bad. If you stay to the green or the red or something that's not going to be, too bad changing your night vision, this wouldn't be bad. Like I said, especially for hiking or, for hunting, if you want somebody to know where you are, that's not bad. So again, it's fairly dim, but it does light up pretty good, and you get the strobe effect. Of course, the slow strobe, and there. So for something the size of a dog tag, just to give you a little bit of illumination for somebody to find you. No, it's not a flashlight. No, it's not going to serve as a flashlight or replace a flashlight. But if you're lost and somebody's looking for you, especially from the air, and you need to sleep, putting this, if you're in a field, putting this on a piece of gear and blinking at night, this is definitely going to illuminate fairly brightly, and it's going to give you a contrast from the dark, if you can't start a fire. And again, I would like it in a hiking or, type scenario, camping type scenario, to, be able to find where you're going. If you, say, ditch your pack because you're going to go find a tree because nature's calling, you could turn this on so you can find your way back to your pack. That type of thing. If you have to set something down, it's right there. We're not talking about a $500 piece. We're talking about a couple of dollars. Not a bad little size tool. I haven't seen these in many places. This specific one, I think they're calling them bright trikes. This just calls it the adhesive single light. But check it out. Check it out. I purchased this one from Clem's department store, which is in New England. They're a small farm store, and they got them. But I think, I'd like to do a little more testing on these, and when we get outside, and maybe when we're doing some night shooting, that's what I'd like to see. We can put this out at night and, throw it down on some gear and see how it really works. But again, this has been Calvin from PoorManSurvival.com, talking about the adhesive signal light from Coghlan's. Check it out. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.